Hey, folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And, of course, the big news the other day was that Rush is going to get back together and do a tour. There's just a handful, though. Not very many. They're going to play Toronto, they're going to play Mexico City, and they're going to play some big cities in the United States and Cleveland. I mean, those of you in Cleveland, I don't mean to single you out. I don't know if you count as a big city, going by New York standards or L.A. or, some of these other dates that they were going on. But, of course, Cleveland is a very important date for them because that's where the DJ Donna Halper was that started playing Working Man, which launched Rush's career, their bigger career, their bigger stage career, They started recording for majors and going on American tours and all of the ball started rolling thanks to her in Cleveland. So that's going to be amazing. So the drummer, her name is Anika Nilles, and she is a German, 42 years old, born in 83, drummer extraordinaire, has won many drumming awards, is highly critically acclaimed. Jeff Beck hired her, and he is very picky about his drummers. So that alone is a big deal. Nilles was twice elected as the #1 rising star in Drum Magazine. In 2015, second time 2016, she also won Modern Drummer Readers Poll for Up-and-Coming Artist in 2016. She was voted #2 Best Fusion Drummer in Drum Magazine and as #3 Best Educator on the Drummy Awards in 2017. She was elected #1 Best Clinician. These sound like things you might call Neil Peart on Music Radar, and then #3 in 2018-2019. So she's been at this, and she is highly sought after. She's also put out 3 full-length albums. She's got a band. That band's name, I just had it. Wait a minute. Neville. Of course, everybody's very excited to see what this drummer can do. I've seen this clip bubble up a little bit, and we even got a request for it earlier today. We had already kind of planned on doing this one, but it's reassuring that people are saying, hey, this one, go check this one out. So the name of the song is Pikalar. That looks to be the title track for her first album. Very much looking forward to it and to seeing what she can do. It should be fun. Adrian, do you have any thoughts ahead before we look at this?
Yeah, I mean, if she's going to replace Neil Peart in Rush...
Well, she's not really going to replace.
Well, not replace.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, sit in his shoes or something.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. Both Geddy and Alex became excited to play music again, Rush music again, with her. And that's a pretty rare thing. I mean, I think a lot of their reticence to doing it at all, well, first of all, had to do with their concern about whether or not this was going to honor Neil. They're certainly not pushing him aside. They plan to have a Neil Peart segment in every show where they honor him, maybe more than one segment in every show. He was so important to them. He was their best friend as well. They were a tight unit. 40 years on the road, never mind the little bit in the middle where Neil had to deal with his personal tragedies. It was one of those things you can't replace him. You can't possibly replace him, and I don't think that that's her goal. But I think she is facilitating the ability of the other guys now to be able to go play Rush's amazing music, which Neil had a hand in writing, all of it. I mean, he's the storyteller. He's the professor. A lot of those concepts and everything that made Rush what they are, beyond the music itself, that's Neil. So that's how I'm looking at it. It's like, okay, they're going to actually be able to honor Neil, not just by doing something in each concert, but just by the fact that they're having these concerts, that they're sharing the music, that kids will see them now, because it's been 10 years since the last tour. It will have been 11 by next year. And so there's plenty of people walking around that were too young to experience Rush the first time who might be very interested this time around. So all that to say, we're interested in seeing what Anika can do. And so we're looking forward to this. Let's go ahead and check this out, Adrian, unless you have any other thoughts ahead.
No, I'm just psyched to hear her play.
Let's go ahead and do that. We'll discuss afterwards.
All right.
All right. Well, what are your thoughts on that, Adrian?
Sweet. Definitely.
What a player.
Yeah. It's like I love the 7/4 time signature in the beginning, and it changes throughout the song.
Yeah.
Also, love that instrumental with none of those bothersome lyrics.
Right. Nothing to look at after. What does she mean by this song? I think she means it's time to groove.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love anyone who could lay down a piece like this in the studio, much less compose something like this.
Yeah, very impressive. It really shows off her chops, and I'm sure it just showed us a sliver of her chops, but it gave us a pretty good idea, a pretty good sense of her playing abilities. I love the timing of everything that she played. She knows how to get into a particular groove, and by that I mean it's a little bit fluid. It sounds human. It's not all bump, 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 like, say, a drum machine or something like that. There were a lot of spots where she obviously laid off just a tiny bit on one drum over another when she was going through fills on purpose. You know, they'll get a boom, 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 like that instead of boom, boom, boom. She's very careful about her timing and everything. And, yeah, you know, you hear that with a lot of the really good drummers, but I just liked how much she was able to do it within that piece, you know, pretty much all the way through. She was kind of up a level, you know, like operating up here. And it was exciting to hear her perform.
Hearing some of the syncopation, too. I mean, I lost track of the song a few times.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's really, it's really something. I could definitely see her playing Rush. That's for sure.
She has the abilities, that's for sure. So she was born in May of 1983. That means that Signals was out when she was born. Their first 10 albums were already out. I think maybe that was the 9th. I think Signals was actually the 9th. But yeah, so they'd already done all of what most people call their classic period, you know, so she was able to grow up very likely listening to a lot of Rush, among other things. You know what this reminded me a little bit of was Darwin, who we've checked out. Yeah, we've checked them out a few times on the channel here as well. But he plays with Simon Phillips and some supersonic guitar players and bass players like Mohini Day is used a lot as his bass player, and it kind of had that same feel to it. Very exciting music. It makes me want to listen to more, for sure, you know.
All those insane drum fills just put me in a good mood. You
know? Yeah, it's exhilarating is what it is. That's what I would call her playing, and that's what you need. That's what Geddy and Alex need right now, frankly. You know, that's what we all need. That's what this world needs. A little more exhilaration, you know, a little bit more joy, just listening to somebody play amazing things. So it says here her main influence is Jeff Porcaro, who was a major session drummer, 70s, 80s, especially the 80s, after he was the drummer in Toto. So after Toto 4 with Africa and Rosanna and all that, he was playing for everybody. I mean, he played, just start looking at your album sleeves and you'll see him around.
Yeah, I've heard his name several times.
Yeah, so a good place to start, for sure. But let me see here. Technique, it says, Nilles tends to incorporate alternate note groupings, such as with quintuplets and sextuplets over a 4/4 backbeat, which is what we just heard, as a matter of fact. Stuff like that. Awesome. So, yeah, I'd say that survey says thumbs up.
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. You know, very much looking forward to watching her play with Geddy and with Alex, and to see what the three of them sound like. I wouldn't necessarily want to see a new Rush album with her. I would like to see a new band maybe come out of it. You know, it's so early, and it came as such a shock. I'm still kind of processing. But I am certainly ready to see her play with them on this tour and to see them play Rush, and I hope that that happens for a while. I hope that they have an amazing reception and decide to do far more touring.
Just a very hip and talented woman, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Very excited to see what the future holds. Yeah. So, okay, well, folks, why don't you let us know what you thought of Anika, and if that was a surprise or if you were already familiar with her. If you are familiar with her, do you have any other favorite tracks that you'd like us to take a look at? If so, leave those below for us. But give us your thoughts, you know, not just on Anika, but perhaps on the whole idea of Rush getting back together. I think most people are just overjoyed. Shocked and overjoyed seems to be the main feeling. But there are some going, you know, I'm not sure how I feel about this. And I think everybody is sensitive to the fact that Neil is not part of the project anymore, through no fault of his own. His family has offered their blessing for this, and I do think that the guys are going to do Neil right on this tour. Now, that's my thought, but give your thoughts, and we'll be happy to read about them. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you enjoyed the presentation, please subscribe. All right, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care, folks.
See you all later.